For nearly 100 years, Tonkin was the name the French gave North Vietnam, and Hanoi was a capital then as it is today. The morning market overflows into the street as the bus makes its way out of Hanoi. Turning off Highway 1, the road narrows and winds its way northwest, making a 350-kilometer, 12-hour trip to the China-Vietnam border. Around the next turn, there are many different travelers. Lao Cai is a town 4 kilometers from the Chinese border and 8 hours from Hanoi by rail. As the valley narrows, the road parallels the Red River, and at times it shares a bridge with the railroad. The bus is now nearing the district of Sapa. In 1979, a failed Chinese invasion lasted only 14 days, but left much of the countryside in ruins. In 1918, the first European visitor, a Jesuit missionary, came to this region. The French colonists were soon attracted by the climate and the scenery. The area by 1932 became a health resort with over 200 villas and serviced by an airport. The hydroelectric plant is one of the 10 or so relics that remain after the Chinese conflict. The French call this region the Tonkinese Alps, and during May and September, over 100 inches of rain will fall. There is a very basic water treatment and sewage facility in the district. The water is utilized today just as it has for centuries. This simple device pounds rice into flour. At an altitude of 2,700 feet, the winters here are cold and foggy. Snow is not a stranger to these Honglian mountains. The region is being rebuilt. Most of the work is done by hand, without the use of earth movers, mixers, cranes, or any of the amenities of modern-day construction. The structures are still built in the French style. Working hours are long, usually from dawn to dusk. There is no traditional delineation of work between the sexes. Men and women work side by side. All are responsible for the heavy work. With cement being mixed by hand and poured a bucket at a time, a work project obviously takes longer to complete. On the other hand, it provides the workers with a greater sense of accomplishment once finishing the structure. This beautiful view is the town of Sapa, which means town of sand. These new structures have been built for the influx of new visitors to the region. Since 1993, Westerners have once again been allowed to return to Sapa. A host of guest houses have cropped up to lodge and provide services for their comfort. The local football field, while it's empty now, in the late afternoons, is full of children playing and having fun. In Southeast Asia, a popular sport is Sapa, called hacky sack in the United States. These young men are warming up and honing their skills for this afternoon's game at the field. Up the road from the football field and under the tower of the French Catholic Church is the town market. Here the vendors provide snacks and fresh produce. Goods from both Vietnam and neighboring China are for sale. The market provides only the very freshest of foods. Just as music is a universal language, games of chance have an appeal to those willing to take the risk. This simple rendition of roulette is such an example. The French colonialists introduced Christianity to a few minority villages. When the French left, Christianity diminished and many minorities returned to their traditional beliefs. The population of Sapa, as of 1993, was estimated at 31,000. 52% of those are the Hmong people. The first Hmong arrived in North Vietnam over 300 years ago. The largest wave of immigration occurred after 1868, when more than 10,000 people of the Chinese provinces fled to Vietnam after taking part in the unsuccessful Taiping movement against the Qing dynasty. Hmong are the seventh largest ethnic group in Vietnam and are found along the Chinese frontier in greater numbers than any other minority. The women wear their long hair rolled inside a turban. Their clothes are traditionally woven out of hemp and dyed using indigo plants. Both men and women wear traditional silver jewelry, necklace, bracelets, and for women, earrings. Like other minorities, the jewelry is traditionally made out of old French coins. These old French coins are also used as part of the bride price in marriage contracts. To supplement their income, handcrafted souvenirs are sold to the Western visitors as well as to Vietnamese merchants from the large urban centers. The popular marketplace is where all the minority peoples come to trade, and the different headdresses differentiate one ethnic group from another. There are about 8 different groups that live in the Sapa district. The young Hmong, who also sell souvenirs, speak not only their own language, but also Vietnamese, French, English, some German, and Russian. There's hardly a moment when these people stand idle. The Zhao make up 25% of Sapa's population. They, like the Hmong, live at the highest altitudes on lands cleared of forest. Most minorities are found in equal or greater numbers in southern China, Laos, Cambodia, northern Thailand, and Burma. The bustling marketplace provides an atmosphere where the different ethnic groups trade amongst themselves. The Jew's harp is a popular souvenir item usually sold and made by the young. Traditional herbal remedies are primarily used by the minority villages, comprised of medicinal plants gathered in the forest. Under the vestibule of the old French Catholic Church, the women act as the primary traders with visiting merchants, as is common in most of Southeast Asia. And not a moment goes by when these women are not engaged in making more goods for future trade. The designs on the fabric are unique amongst each tribe. The patterns and colors are derived from ancient myths. The women no longer go barefoot, but they do continue to use their traditional leggings. At every available moment, strips of bamboo are being made into thread, which is then used to make clothing. Along Sapa's main road is a constant parade of ethnic minorities who have come for the weekend market. Basic tools are used in the making of the handicrafts. Zhao women wear heavily embroidered indigo trousers and an apron worn backwards. The Hmong women, dressed in the traditional black headdress, tend to be more aggressive in their bargaining and trading activities at the marketplace. Subsequently, the other ethnic minorities, distinguished by their headdress, do not fare as profitably on these weekend excursions. Marriage was traditionally planned by the fathers of the prospective couple, often against the wishes of those concerned and sometimes several years before puberty. Today, marriages are often arranged without parental consent. Procedure has changed little over time. The groom's family provide gifts for the bride, including money, pork meat, and alcohol. The current value of these gifts for a bride is about $200. The distinctive item of the Zhao women's costume is a triangular red turban decorated with silver coins and red tassels. The women of the Zao do shave their hair and eyebrows off and brush their heads with wax before covering their head with a red turban. When a girl is 13 years old, a head brushing ceremony is carried out. Another feature of the market is the sale of dyes derived from roots and other natural sources. Men from the ethnic groups are skillful hunters, using homemade flintlock rifles to hunt animals in the forest. Both sexes wear silver jewelry and carry shoulder bags adorned with red tassels. The demanding work at the marketplace does not diminish the responsibilities of motherhood. After their business at the marketplace, the women return to the villages, sometimes walking as far as 15 miles. Most of the valley areas and lower slopes have been cleared of forest and are under cultivation. Rice cultivation is the main economic activity, though production is limited to one crop per year due to the winter climate being unsuitable for optimal rice growth. Between September and October, the rice is harvested. As a result of population growth, there is high pressure on existing land. As rice is limited to only one crop per year, and there is limited scope for expansion of agricultural land, the ethnic minorities in Sapa face an annual deficit in food production. Running water is directed from streams using hollowed-out bamboo. Fabrics traditionally woven out of hemp are dyed using indigo plants and hung out to dry. The graffiti consists of the images that children bring back with them from their excursions to Sapa. Livestock is reared to provide food during periods of rice shortage or on special occasions, and also for sale to enable basic necessities to be bought. Livestock kept by local people includes cattle, water buffalo, pot-bellied pigs, goats, ducks, and chickens. Unlike other minority groups in the district, the patrilineal family system is less developed. On the death of the male head of the household, his wife assumes leadership of the family and controls the property. After her death, the eldest son inherits the bulk of the family goods. Before the 1945 August Revolution, women were held in low esteem, and polygamy was commonplace. Today, although women are still of low status, the Hmong are monogamous. One of the women's stately duties is to make sure that the family garden is tended to. On occasions, an outside visitor will introduce a new pastime for the children. To the casual Western observer, this padlock may seem insignificant, but in this village, it seems out of place. The Hmong also gather forest products both to supplement their income and for domestic use. These include dead wood for fuel and building materials, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and ginger. In the Sapa district, not every community has a primary school, and school attendance rates by minority children are low since formal education is not a traditional part of minority culture. Overlooking Sapa is Phan Xipan, Vietnam's highest point. Historically, the Hmong lived within their own ethnic group under a feudal system. However, other minorities often ruled over the Hmong. There were no aristocratic families in Hmong society. The feudal system was eradicated during the French colonial era. The minorities are governed under the same legal and administrative system as the Vietnamese majority. Each province is subdivided into a number of districts which hold a degree of autonomy in local government. The district is further divided into communities which have an elected president and small committee responsible for, among other things, agricultural and legal issues. Vietnamese government encourages one child per family, but the rural family depends on many hands to do the work. There are 54 ethnic groups in Vietnam. The resultant diversity in culture and history of these minorities has created one of the most complex human environments in Southeast Asia. The main ethnic group, the Vietnamese, account for approximately 87% of the population. The remaining 13%, some 8.5 million people, occupy a variety of midland, upland, and highland areas, though are mainly concentrated in the western part of the country, where they inhabit 2/3 of the border areas. The ethnic groups vary in size, ranging from over 1 million to less than 200 persons. The 10 major groups account for about 85% of the ethnic population. Most minorities are found in equal or greater numbers in southern China, Laos, Cambodia, northern Thailand, and Burma. The young both work and play hard just like their parents. The gathering of firewood is one of the chores delegated to the youngsters. At times, having to travel several kilometers to fill up their carts. Card games are favorite pastimes for both the young and the old. Once the obligatory chores of the day have been completed, as in any other society, comes the long-awaited period for recreation. These boys are playing for the candies given to them by Western visitors. The drying of harvested rice and the cleaning of the fields are the responsibilities of the women. In a land where no one seems idle, there are a few rare moments. The origins of the Zhao are unclear, though, like the Hmong, the Zhao live at the highest altitudes on land cleared of forest, indicating a similar time of immigration during the 18th century. According to ancient legend, the Zhao had a great canine ancestor named Ban Ho, also called Ban Vuong or Chan Dung, a powerful 5-colored dog who killed an enemy general. The dog was rewarded by marriage to a princess who gave birth to the 12 Zhao tribes. Zhao embroidery uses the 5 colors of the sacred dog as a reminder of their heritage. Each of the 12 tribes is divided into many families. The typical Zhao home site has no running water or electricity. The home is also used as a shelter to dry corn as well as tobacco. The water pipe is the preferred method for smoking tobacco, a device common throughout this region. Opium cultivation exists in the northwestern provinces. Addiction in minorities has been reported, as has the use of opium for medicinal purposes. In 1986, all cultivation and possession for sale or personal use became illegal. To discourage opium cultivation in Sapa district, the minorities have been permitted to cultivate pseudo-ginseng within the remaining forest areas. This cash crop is sold to the Chinese for use in traditional medicines. With the opening of the Sapa district to the outside world, the element of change that has happened to other indigenous peoples throughout the planet will transpire here as well. Hopefully, as time passes and this new era arrives, the Hmong and the Zhao people will preserve their traditions and culture.
Không biết tiếng Việt Nam, không biết tiếng nào nữa. Không học.
Okay, well, here we are. I've traveled over 6,000 miles and paid about $1,000, and I don't know why. Now I do. It was for this haircut.
There you go.
So I'm ready to go home.
There you go. Handsome lad here. Handsome fellow.
This is our
Ace number
barber
one.
here, Deaf Mute Barber on Bumboy Chow Street.
All right.
So if you're in the area, make sure you stop by.